Hello, MPA families. Hey, it's Mr. Brian and the MPA board tonight. Thank you for joining us. We know everybody's busy, but it has been a while. I think our last town hall was back in November. And wow, what a year it has been. And so we wanted to just take some time, give you an update. I wish we had all the answers, but we don't. But we will do our best to answer questions tonight. Keep in mind, we will host another town hall, at least maybe I will, before school starts. But here we go. Let's get started. We have a busy evening. We're excited for some of the board business and to meet our future candidates for board members. So here we go. All right, almost. There we go. Few reminders, since this is on YouTube, there is the chat feature there. We have people watching the chat and looking for questions, and we'll just answer those questions at various intervals as we go through the presentation tonight. If anybody misses this, obviously it will be available on the MPA website because this live stream is being recorded. So thanks to Brandon, one of our board members, for setting up all the tech here tonight. All right, MPA has grit. Well, where does this come from? Each year I pick a book that we kind of pull apart and kind of dissect a little bit. And this year I picked a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. And it really comes down to this concept of what is grit and what does it mean? You know, I thought only cowboys use the word grit, but actually there's a lot of research around this. In fact, the latest research out of it they have found is grit is one of the #1 factors to success. And the reason I picked it, I felt this was the year of grit. If there's any year that we're going to be put to the test, it's during a pandemic. And so really what it means is it's the ability to work hard for a long period of time, to perceive and move forward in the face of adversity. And I have to tell you, MPA has that grit. And it's also something of why I joined Montessori to begin with, because I saw students as learners, students guiding themselves, students failing, and then trying again, failing, trying again. That is grit. That is the basic element of grit. And I think Montessorians are one of the best at it. So that's a huge shout out to the staff. Parents, that's a huge shout out to you and the students. The students are our rock stars. They show this every day. So thank you for being with us. This is the year of grit, and we do it with a little grace and courtesy. So, all right, moving on here. We do like to show our vision and mission, not only in board meetings, but as a staff as well. And I always like to highlight a few of the keywords in it, just so everybody understands what it is we do. And for me, in the vision statement, it's really about the educational journey. We've had to change course this year, but the main focus is the educational journey. Every child is unique. And we're doing our best to give them the education that fits who they are. And then the board really looks at the mission statement each month as we meet. And they really ask the tough questions. Are we giving the exceptional learning experience that we can? Are we doing the best we can? And during this year, I would have to say it's been a challenge. Things are different. But I tell you what, we've looked deeper at student learning than we ever have. And we have a plan. We have a plan for next year. If kids fall behind, we're working on that now, but we also have, we're going to use some federal monies, let's put it that way, to just guarantee that we're paying attention to each and every child that's in our school. So that's a good thing. So here's our mission and vision. Oh, where have we been? Well, you know, we've been open most of the year. You know, I still read headlines of schools being closed or just starting to open. I mean, really, we're just opening in April. Well, for us, we've been open since August. We've had different periods where we've had to close. Remember back in December, which seems a long time ago, but other than that, we've been open. We've had 8 classroom quarantines. In fact, we just put one more class in quarantine over the weekend, but that was our 8th one. I know of one school who just put 5 classrooms into quarantine. It's another elementary about our size in another district in the last 3 days. So I think overall we have done very well. It's not that we're keeping score, but we do have to hear about and ask questions of how other buildings are doing so we get a sense of our own problems or successes. And, you know, it is something that we have to look at 365, 24/7. When I say that, the front office, especially Christine in the front office, is really paying attention to all the parent emails each and every day on weekends, holidays, breaks, because it is important to let parents know about health and safety. So we take that very serious. It feels like school's open all the time. It's been a long year, but we're starting to feel that things are moving in the positive direction. Most of our outbreaks are all community transmissions. We've not had one documented, doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but of a case where it's a school transmission where one kid in one class gives it to another or a staff member to a child or anything like that. So in our contact tracing, and mostly it comes from outside. So that's a testament to the protocols at the school, the staff, the students, and the families. Okay. At one time, we had 20% of our students in remote. We're actually about 5% or a little bit lower now since back after spring break. You know, CMAS has been modified. We're still using our protocols, our health and safety protocols. We are bummed we don't have a parent volunteers, but there might be a few opportunities here at the end of the year. But definitely we're figuring that out for next year. One of the dilemmas we've had is just a substitute teacher shortage. We've had a few parents. My last video asked for more. That helped. Thank you. And we've dealt with a budget shortfall. So we'll kind of go over that stuff a little bit later. But that's where we've been. And guess what? We're still here. We're doing great. And we're only excited for the future now. Now, you've probably seen this. This is going away at the state level. This will just be used by Jeffco County and all the other counties in the state. And we went from blue to yellow. We're kind of going backwards, and our quarantines are up as a school. We've had more quarantines than we would like right now, despite having lower positivity rates than we dealt with, say, back in the fall. And I think part of it is this. I think, 1, people are tired. 2, high schoolers and middle schoolers are going back full time now, not on the hybrid schedule. 3, people are getting out, doing more things. There's more group activities going on right now. So just understand that for the next 6 weeks, parents, hope you're hearing me, your kiddo's class could be in quarantine because it's just, I think it's nature of humanity. You know, we went to blue, things opened up, and it kind of increased the positivity rates despite all the vaccines going on out there. So just be aware. I'm hoping we stay at yellow and maybe go back down to blue. If we get any higher, yellow and red, that does affect some of our end of year stuff. But as of right now, things look pretty good in the yellow. Okay. So where are we going? You know, we're just going to do what we know how to do until May. We're not going to change things that much. You know, it's funny, the news, and we get these briefings, and they're like, hey, 3-foot distance approved. Well, we've been kind of doing that all year. You ever seen elementary kids? They can't stay 6 feet apart. So, no, we're doing group work. Kids are just really good at when they near someone, they pop on the mask. When they're away from someone, they take it off when they play. So we just got it down. Our routines are down. It would be a shame for us to change that now and go really backwards. 75% of our staff has both vaccinations. So that's pretty good. 3/4 of us are now at a point where if quarantines do happen, kind of depends, uh, but they get to be at work and not go home to work. Me, I had both shots, and I was about I was 12, what was I, 12 days or something into my 2 weeks after your second shot, where I could avoid a quarantine. Boom, got bumped. So I had to go home and work for a week because I was in a classroom where I was helping out. I was in there for more than 15 minutes, and we were short on staff that day. So I was in a room helping out, and then I got bumped to a quarantine. So the next go around, that won't be the case. I won't have to go to quarantine, even if I'm in a class helping out, despite a positive or quarantine situation. Okay. You know that the quarantines have been reduced to 10 days. However, if they find in the testing, which they'll kind of randomly do, a variant, your child or staff member could be quarantined up to 14 days. Okay. So aftercare has been up and running. So we're confident next year that we can do a before and after care. And we're looking at some after school activities and clubs. That a lot depends on the word you see down below, and that is cohorting. So we're waiting. That would really change our world. If we could have our kids play together at recess, if we could have our students be together in clubs, things like that, that would be fantastic. That would make us feel like, school has come back. So that's some of the information we're waiting on. One priority is more academic support for learning loss due to the pandemic. So as you probably have heard in the news, there's been different federal monies that have come out through the different packages, relief packages that Congress has passed at the federal level. And we're in the second round of that money. The first round of money we used up in the fall, and that expired December 31st. We're in the second round. And next year, we're going to keep some of our staff that have been doing a lot of the remote teaching and put them into other positions. One is we will support remote learning only for quarantines next year. So that means I have to have a staff member as a school ready to do that. And so we got that figured out. And also we need a little bit more interventions and a little bit more management of learning and getting to kids quicker. So we're going to use some of that money to keep and create a position that looks at just at learning for students. Okay, so we are an all in-person school next year. Talked with the board last, what was it, March and February, March, and we just don't have enough parents interested in remote. Takes quite a bit of money to have one teacher just doing remote. So we're going to be in person, and that's a testament to our families and the trust that they have. So we appreciate that. That's where we do our best work, especially in Montessori. We are in-person type of school, okay? In early August, I think we'll wait to, I think I scheduled it for August 4th. It's on my next slide, but we'll do another town hall. And I don't think we're gonna have things like car line where we have 2 schedules for car line. We'll find out how we're gonna handle volunteers. I'll definitely give you an update on, are we cohorting or not? Or is there a modification to that? And that will kind of give us how our year's going to look. If you noticed, if you drive along Kipling, you notice there's been some things going on outside in our garden. And I say this all the time, we do virtual tours for prospective families, and we have a great alumni system. So that means these are students that have been former MPA students, and they want to come back and donate something to the school, a project, do something for the school. So this student, senior, has come back and created an outdoor learning classroom, and that structure you see right there opens up to have a whiteboard inside. So thank you, Hunter. And the doors also have corkboard, and so we actually have an official outdoor classroom now. And we have the logs and we have the seats, and the shade will come in when the trees start budding. But we do need your help. If you're driving by or you walk by a lot, we got some big squirrels that like to keep throwing logs in the creek. And when I say big squirrels, I'm sure they're bored kids, but just help us keep an eye on our property and that it doesn't get damaged, vandalized, or stuff thrown around. You can always send me an email. Mr. Daniel and I get those emails from a few local neighbors who keep an eye on our school. And one of us will go down and check it out, as soon as we can. So we just want to let you know our grounds constantly keep being improved. Okay. Now, end of this year is going to be much different than last year. Remember last year, everything got canceled. Well, we're moving forward with stuff this year. We do have to do growing and changing. And so this year it's going to be 5th and 6th grade together because our last year's 5th graders, which are our 6th graders now, theirs got canceled. So parents, if you want to know how that's being handled this year, what's the information, we're doing a virtual parent information night. So if you are a parent of a 5th or 6th grader, you'll be getting an email about this night and also the information that we'll be talking about with those students. The next MPA board meeting next week. We do have a virtual talent show this year since we still can't come together in the gym and off the stage. Mr. Tyler's putting together a pretty cool virtual talent show. He's got some submissions, but we want more. So that deadline is April 23rd, which I believe is a Friday. And then the actual talent show will be on May 7th. So that's exciting. So if your kiddo wants to do something, it's all done in a video format. So watch for those emails. If you have any questions, let us know. We will have another parent education night. The last one we did in the fall. We work with a partner called National Center for Montessori in the Public Sector. Our speakers were Maria and Jasmine. And that night, I think we talked about executive functioning and we did some breakout sessions on Zoom. And it was a great night. And this year, I think we're going to work on maybe some perseverance. That grit word we talked about earlier, that's just another word. So I'm still waiting for their information to come back to me on exactly their format and their talk, but we will send out more information. So put that on your calendar. That was a great night. Remember, no school on the 30th. The staff and I have an in-service and work day. That's a Friday coming up here this month. And then 6th grade, our 6th graders last year traditionally go to camp, but last year it got canceled because of the pandemic. This year they couldn't go up to Buena Vista to camp, but we are going to do a week of adventure here. Here, when I say here, at the MPA campus. And so they will still get some form of end of year adventure, and that is week of May 10th through 14th. Then we are going to do a graduation. We're going to do an outdoor graduation on our own property. It fits within all the pandemic criteria. And so more information coming. If for some reason weather's bad that night, that gives us Thursday night as a backup plan. Okay, so more information coming. Last day of school is May 27th. That is hard to believe. And that is a noon dismissal. Our next town hall is August 4th at 6:30 p.m. So a lot to look for. Miss Judy's working on field day here at the end of the year. We probably won't do very many parent volunteers on that, and it has to be modified a little bit, but we're also putting that together so kids actually have a field day as well. So kudos to the staff for figuring all this out among all the rules that we have to deal with so that we can end the year with some fun. We got to bring back the fun. That's what I keep telling the staff, bring back the fun and the joy of what we do. Okay. How can we help each other? And I had this slide the last time, and a lot of parents took this to heart. They really have kept their communication short and to the point. Thank you, because literally hundreds of emails come in every day, and we're on information overload as a government, believe me, and we do our best to filter it all out. So if you can just get to the point of what you need, we're always here to help. And I've had parents call me, call others, and if something's not right, you need to let us know. Don't get too frustrated, okay? So just call us, we're here to help. One thing we do need help with is we do have aftercare, and our campus is still in session until 5:30. So we need to keep free of the playground. That means that playground by the tent building there, and also the field to the east on the east side of the gym. So if you can just keep children and dogs off our school grounds until after 5:30, that'd be appreciated, because we technically are still in session, okay? One thing we do want parents to help us with is wait for the greeter to open up the car doors to let students out. Sometimes kids are jumping out and they're just going all directions, and we're finding some of our health screeners wind up in classrooms, things like that, because kids are slipping through. So just wait that extra 5-10 seconds and we will get there. Also if you're going to walk your students up to, say, like Miss Jill up there on the primary side, make sure you walk up with them. Don't allow kids to run across the crosswalk that Mr. Brandon's doing the stop sign at. Parents, you got to walk your kids up to an adult, okay? April is the month of safety focus at MPA. When I mean that, each classroom is just going to have some conversations. What does safety mean? And things like that. So each month we're kind of doing one of our 5 pillars. Last month was respect. Our May, there'll probably be kindness or something like that. So each month we just take a focus on our social emotional learning, and we kind of deep dive it and make sure all of our students really understand what all those words mean, all the way from pre-K up to 6th grade, okay? So one thing I want everyone to do, and that is let your children know how proud you are of how they've handled school this year, okay? School's running out, and this is the time to do it. Our students have just risen to the K's, you know, they're just amazing. And I love using a phrase like this. I love how you just get up in the morning, get your stuff together and go to school. I love how you come home happy each day. So you always want, there's praise, which sounds like good job, well done. Praise is great. But if you want to go a little deeper, okay, let them know exactly what you're proud of what they've done. Or I've noticed, that's another way. I use that one a lot around the school. Hey, I noticed how patient you are waiting for the bathroom. Thank you. I noticed how you stood back and waited for the drinking fountain. Thank you. So if you want your kids to understand what they're good at in life, use that phrase. I love or I notice. Believe me, it works. So they will feel good about themselves and they will always remember it, okay? They won't always remember all the good jobs and high fives, but they will remember when you're specific about what you're proud of. So give them some shout outs, parents, because we've made it. This is our 2nd year of the pandemic. We're getting ready for the 3rd year of dealing with the pandemic of school year. Funny how time flies. So thank you. Any questions there, Miss Aaron?
We've been able to answer all of them. There was a question about growing and changing, but that can be answered on the 19th.
Well, fantastic. Well, look at that, 25 minutes. I told the board I said I'd be 20 to 25 minutes, because really tonight, a lot of what they're talking about is stuff that I passed on. I'm very excited to hear this stuff too, even though I know most of it, but it is exciting. Our future is bright at MPA, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jack. Are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you, Mr. Brian. So I'm Jack Llewellyn. I'm the president of the board this year. And on behalf of the board, welcome everybody. And on behalf of the board, we as a board consider ourselves extremely fortunate to have had Mr. Brian in the leadership position he's been in to help us guide through all of this. We are exceptionally proud of our staff and our teachers, and I'm really thankful that Brian mentioned the kids, because they really have been amazing, and without their resiliency, this all would have been a lot harder than it is. and we're just proud of the community. We really are. I was actually at St. Joseph's Hospital getting a vaccine today, and literally somebody across the room said Montessori Peaks Academy, and I poked up, and it was somebody whose kid is going to be in kindergarten here next year, and so I talked to him afterwards and stuff. But it's a school and a community that we really are proud of. And so you can see on the agenda here, we've got a few different things we want to talk about, and I think the focus is going to be on what's coming up. You know, we've dealt with the past. We know that everything's not going to be perfect going forward, but I'd really like to try to get our attention to the positive things that are coming our way, the positive changes that are coming in the school. And can we all ban the phrase "the new normal"? Cannot be said tonight. Okay. And so we're going to have different members of the board jump in on different portions of the agenda here. I think the idea is to keep things relatively high level and again, relatively positive and forward looking, and then to allow ourselves plenty of time to meet the board candidates, and then also to have time for questions and answers. And being the smart delegator I am, somebody else is going to handle each of these things, and I'll be here to help answer questions at the end. So with that, we're to go over to budget and finance, and we'll let Brittany take over from there.
Thanks, Jack. And like Jack said, I'm just going to keep it very brief. Just want to send a big thanks to Brian and Amy and everybody, all the staff that serve on the finance committee. This is a shout out too, that if any parents want to join the finance committee, that'd be great as well. But Brian and Amy and everybody have worked really hard this past year. As we all know, it hasn't been great for school funding. And because of their frugalness and their dedication to making sure our classrooms, the dollars stay in the classroom so that they can benefit each of our students. We closed the budget for last year in a better position than we had anticipated. And so the budget looking forward for the next year is still not finalized because we're waiting one more month than we normally do. We normally have the budget in March and approved in April. This year we pushed it back a little bit because we're still waiting to hear on the per pupil revenue that we'll be getting for next year. And we just don't have the answers for that yet, although more information comes out all the time. And so we anticipate this month of April that we'll have a better budget to look at for next year and be able to finalize that over the next 2 months as we go forward and turn that into the district. So Brian and Amy and everybody have done a great job in using the dollars where they're needed, and I thank them for that. Jack, did you want to more detail or?
No, I think to the extent that that people have questions or whatever, we can address that. But you know, I think I'll speak for you and say that the bottom line is that we are in a much better financial position than we otherwise might have thought we would be under all the circumstances, and we have a good reserve, right? So financially, even under these circumstances, we are not in bad shape at all.
Oh no, and we are a very healthy. I should have said that even broader yet, is that we have had great leadership over the years who have diligently contributed to the reserves. We have an extremely healthy reserve account that is there if and when we need it, and it's very healthy. And yes, we had some concerns going into the pandemic last year, but we finished that off in a great position. So very thankful for that. We're very healthy position.
Oh, sorry. But maybe then we can take that and roll it into the 5B funds and the refinancing and how that relates to the construction?
Yeah, great. Happy to. So last year and this year, we worked on taking advantage of the great interest rates. And we had some debt still left over from back in the years when we did our last addition to the school. And so we refinanced that debt. And I don't have the exact percentage points, but more than 2% interest points we saved, 2.25 almost, I believe, in interest on that past debt or the remaining debt that we had. And so that was a great opportunity for us. It allowed us to reduce our yearly mortgage payment on that debt. And we then wrapped that in with the 5B funds that everybody in Jeffco had the chance to vote on a couple of years ago. And that money is only for capital improvements. So we can only spend that on the buildings, which now includes the North Campus. And so we put that together and also took out some additional funds so that we could complete renovations that we need at the existing elementary school and do the renovations we need at the North Campus so that we can open up the middle school. And I don't know, the shared screen just went off, so I didn't have that. But Brian, did you want me to go through like a schedule or of what we're looking at? The planning for the elementary school is the documents are done. And so a couple of the high level things that we have on there is redo the front vestibule of the school so we can increase the security. We heard our community and we all know that we wanted to, and security was a really top priority for everybody, for the staff and our kids and all of us. And so the main focus of the building renovations was to create a secure vestibule there. So there'll be a new way next fall when you come in, there'll be a new way. You'll still enter through the same doors, but it'll look a little bit different and allow the front office to make sure they can see everybody before they go through the doors. And that provides additional security. So that's number one. Number two is what I think is going to be an amazing outdoor education space out in the south behind the building, between the outdoor education area that Mr. Brian just showed on with his pictures and the building are going to be additional outdoor education spaces for outdoor classrooms. There's going to be an area for the primary level there as well, with some outdoor areas for them to have their own outdoor classroom, as well as to have some room for some physical activity outside in addition to the playground that's already there. So that's really exciting. And they'll also be complete the field to the east of the building right now where there's a lot of dirt and it's really hard. We've heard Mr. Brian and the staff say that's such a great spot, but it's hard to take advantage of it when there's not grass growing there and it's just kind of a dust bowl in the summer and an icy mess in the winter. So that will become a field for the kids to use for recess time and also PE class, gym. So those are some of the main renovations of the existing building that we'll have over the summer. That should start as soon as school gets out. And they'll be working hard over the summer to make sure that that's done for the fall when everyone comes back. And then the middle school committee, that someone else will get into that a little bit more, but we're taking the feedback and the needs from that committee as they develop what the middle school will look like. That feeds into what the building needs to look like. And so we're taking that information and developing those plans so that after we get done with the current building, elementary building, we can then start on the middle school building. And that will depend, a lot of that will depend on this coming year's enrollment and how much funding we have, that we can be fiscally responsible in allocating certain dollars to the middle school building. So that's kind of the timeline and the process. so far.
Super. Thanks, Brittany. And since we started talking about middle school, Lisa Myers, who has been our secretary for the last couple of years and our communications guru, is going to give you a few highlights of the middle school planning and kind of an idea of where we're headed on that.
Thank you, Jack. So as Brittany mentioned, we've obviously identified a space for our middle school, and we have, as a board, we've just been working on our mission, our vision, and our guiding principles for what this middle school will be. The design team is working to make best use of that space. And a focus group has been put together. It includes some teachers, some staff, and a couple of board members. They've been working over the past few months to really discuss curriculum development, elective offerings, and how best we take that cornerstone of the Montessori curriculum, which is practical life. What does that mean in an adolescent setting? We know what it means in a primary setting, but what does that mean for adolescents? Because there's a lot of unique opportunities, such as culinary or makerspace, or lots of different ideas out there, and how we can really highlight our Montessori roots in that way. So those discussions are ongoing, and they will help dictate some of the construction, as Ms. Brittany mentioned. That group is also working to identify kind of a phased-in approach. We know that the middle school will look very different year 1 and 2. What do we want that to look like 1 and 2? What could it look like 3 and 4? And what can it look like year 5 and beyond? Because it will have to be a phased-in approach. We can't start with 8th graders that haven't been 7th graders in a Montessori environment. So year 1 would be 7th grade, and then it builds from there. So those concepts, those ideas are all being discussed, reported back to the board, and Mr. Bryan's been involved in all that as well. From a board perspective, our hope is to open this as soon as feasibly possible, but knowing that that building needs to be rezoned, that we need licensing. There's a lot of other details that are in the works as well. But I think also it's important to note, as a board, we understand that high school preparedness is of utmost importance when building this curriculum, but also maintaining our Montessori roots. And those are 2 really big driving factors in a lot of these discussions. We've spent a lot of time as a board examining various options, various ideas, our own market research, data from surveys from years past, current student data. And it's our hope that we will be able to kind of carve out a really unique offering that's tailored to the individual child for this middle school experience for our community. So that's kind of the middle school update. And with that, I might turn it over to, is Beth with us? Sorry, I'm looking at the agenda.
Yeah, I don't think Beth is, so
Okay.
I'm thinking Mr. Bryan can hop in and talk about SAC for a couple of moments.
You bet. You bet. Accountability. We have a great team and a great team of parents and some staff members that want to show up and talk goals, data, the history of the school, where we're going, kind of that rigor, a little bit what Lisa was talking about there. We want to make sure that we have a school that's giving the right education at the right time. And so are we up to standards? Are we in the mix? And we want to keep our high performance designation as a school. We're very proud of that. We've produced high-end students that have done well and have come back and given things to the school. And the SAC committee, the School Accountability Committee, really dives into how we're doing as a school, gives feedback to me and the board, and then that's carried to the staff. So some timelines have changed. There've been some changes at the state level. We submitted our kind of I wouldn't call it a draft plan this spring, but we did update it. We had to put some things on hold due to the pandemic and other things that we added that we've been wanting to add the last couple of years. But the new timeline is in the fall. And what I mean by that is we got to meet heavily in August and September when we get all the fresh data points, CMAS, things like that. And then we formally update it, show it to the board, and it's due to the state of Colorado by October 15th. So the timelines have changed from spring to fall. So if you're interested, hey, give me a shout out and we will send you information on our next meeting. So there you go, Jack. Thanks.
All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Christina, who's going to talk about the election, and we'll meet the candidates. But before we do that, we have, as you know, an election for two board members. And the reason we have an election for 2 board members is we have 2 board members rolling off this year, Christina and Lisa. And we as a board, and I think I'll speak for staff and administrators, want to thank Christina and Lisa for all of their work. I'm not really sure how I'm going to get through board meetings without Christina reminding me of all the things I need to do, and without Lisa taking the minutes. But there just has been a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes that they've done, and the hours that they put in, and the valuable contributions. And I just didn't want us to go on talking about the election without paying tribute to all the work that they've done before. And now, Christina.
I guess on that note, the elections are going for the next set of terms. So with the 2 candidates rolling off, the election, right, for 2 candidates will be for the terms starting this year in 2021, and will run for 3 years through 2024. So just sort of a side note for folks when you're thinking about what how you're looking at the elections. Hopefully everyone should have gotten a push if you have not already voted. Hopefully you got another email with the link to make it real easy. You can just go and click straight onto that, and it'll put you into a space where you just sort of pick. There are 3 fantastic candidates. So really grateful for these 3 fantastic candidates that are willing to serve. And so thank you to each of you. We'll let them briefly introduce themselves as well, right? Kind of let you know who they are and why they're interested, and kind of whatever they want to communicate to you as you are in the middle of election, so you have a chance to meet them. Also, just a brief reminder on the election: 33% of our community. We need votes, right? We need to at least hit 33% of our community. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, it does. We need to know. That's what makes a valid election. We have bylaws that lay it all out, and they're really hard to read most days, for me at least. But they are pretty clear, right? If we don't have our 33%, we have to rerun the election. I've been on the board for 5 years. We had to do that 1 year. It sucked. We don't want to do it again. So let's just click on it. Very easy to vote. It's electronic. And it does end Friday at 6 p.m. So your vote needs to be submitted by Friday at 6 p.m. And with that being said, there is also a spot, since we just did a update on the school accountability committee. If you are interested in serving on that committee, there is a place you can just write your name in. And so I just get a quick list of folks who are interested, and we pass that over to the committee, and you can kind of join in, and all the fun that Mr. Bryan was walking us through. So let's see, that being said, we'll go straight to the candidates. Anna, do you want to kick us off? I think we're going in alphabetical order by first name. So there you are at the top of the list.
Sure. I mean, either way, I think I win on the A or the D, right? Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Duggan, and I'm a Colorado-grown Littleton resident, mother of 2 children, MPA children, 1 current kindergartner, and my 3-year-old to start in the primary program this fall. You have my resume, so I won't bore you with my professional experience, but by trade, I am a public relations consultant and independent business owner here in Colorado. And I also have my son, Bryce, and have had him since the pandemic, so I kind of juggle both jobs. I applied for the MPA board because I thought it was a good opportunity to really mesh kind of three of my passions, which is my children, obviously. Montessori, I was a Montessori kid. My sister was a Montessori kid. My mom taught at Montessori, so I'm definitely drinking the Kool-Aid and am a big proponent of it. And also a chance to use my skill set to kind of better the community that I live in, and we plan to be a part of for a long time. So I look forward to promoting that in whichever way I can. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Let's see, I guess then we'll go to Justin next on the list there.
Thank you. And your reference to bylaws being difficult to read. I run a nonprofit association. I still don't understand all of my bylaws. I'm an attorney I call occasionally to find out what the heck I'm supposed to be doing. So hi, everybody. I'm Justin Sasso. I have a 7-year-old daughter who's in 2nd grade, Miss Morgan, Miss Elizabeth's class there. I have been with the Colorado Broadcasters Association for 10 years, president and CEO of a nonprofit 501c6. So I feel like I have a special understanding for nonprofit status and the special rules and the way we have to weave and dodge to maintain that status. But I also spent 25 years in broadcast radio, owned and operated my own radio station for about 9 years. So there's a part of me that just enjoys taking on new challenges and exploring new opportunities and utilizing the experience I have with the input of those who are going to be most affected by the outcome of those decisions. And that's what I want to bring to this experience with the board. Some of my prior board experience includes the MPA Marketing Committee, going way back, the Greeley Transition House, which was for families that were without housing for short periods of time. CASA, Weld County, the court-appointed special advocates group, the Broadcast Education Development Scholarship Program that we do through my association, the CBA, and then the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition. And most recently, and I think the most taxing, I served 3 years on my own HOA through not only a pandemic, but 2 years ago, we had our clubhouse catch fire. So it was an interesting 3 years. I won't say it was a cakewalk. So again, I'm interested in being on the MPA board because it's an exciting new challenge, especially with the school's expansion. But ultimately, that participation on the board and being a part of that process is what's really important to me, because it gives me that chance to not only give back to the community, but also to a community that my family's involved in and that could have the outcome and all that that growth and expansion will affect my daughter's education as well. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Catherine, if you'd like to also introduce yourself, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Catherine Schultz, also a Colorado native like Anna. I have a 4th grader at MPA. She's in Miss Ashley and Miss Treva's class, Emma. We've actually been with MPA since she was a 3-year-old preschooler. I had a Montessori education in elementary and felt very strongly about putting her in a Montessori education, and she has just thrived at MPA. We've had great teachers, wonderful parents, wonderful administrators, and we've been honored to be part of the system. I have 2 stepsons, one at Bear Creek, one at Carmody. And then we've got 2 pups that are actually laying down finally behind me as well. And I live with my boyfriend as well. And the reason I submitted my application was I am very interested in the expansion to the middle school. That has been a huge, huge driver. I've been hoping for this since she actually started the school, and just being able to give back to this amazing community. The parents, the administrators, everybody, the teachers here are just amazing. And I just want to give back and be a part of it.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know, Ms. Aaron, if there are any questions that popped up for the candidates, or Jack, if we want to go ahead and move on and then see if anything comes back around now that we've had a chance to meet our candidates.
Well, I think we are at the generalized question and answer session. So questions for the candidates, for the board, for Brian,
No
for Robin,
questions.
who's been quiet the whole time.
No questions so far.
There was one that popped up in the chat on, will the outdoor learning space be completed this summer? And that is yes. So we're hoping to have the front security done. As soon as school's done, we're hoping for early June. All of us will work remotely while the front office is being worked on, and then the field to the east will be worked on. And then the outdoor learning spaces to the south of the building, not down in the garden, but to the south of the building, that dirt strip. All that should be done by the time school starts in August, and we're excited for that. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is through that federal stimulus money that we're getting, we're going to be offering a remote summer school only for kiddos that are on READ Act plans, IEPs, 504s, or have shown any significant data slide due to the pandemic. So it's all, I should say, an invite to parents. So Miss Erin and I are working on it. We will figure that out and watch for emails coming out on that. So that's good. And we're going to do it remotely. One, our campus is going to have construction on it this summer. So liability wise, it's not good to bring students onto the campus. And secondly, we're doing it in a format that allows students still to have a summer. That's one of the problems with summer school is it's like a whole school day. That's not our program. Our program is for skills and maintaining skills as well as gaining new skills over the summer. So anything else there so that we're going to wrap up? Look at that, less than an hour. Nice job.
And can I just say, you know, going forward, if people have questions, comments, you know, on the website, all the board members have their information. You know, I know a lot of us are around at various times with Carline or other things, you know, under normal times, we're around the school a lot. But if you have questions, if you have thoughts, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to any one of us, ever, please.
I agree. You know, we're always out front, and I do have to say, I've worked with a lot of boards. This is a good board, and I think the candidates that you saw tonight will add to that. Doesn't mean we always agree, and that's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. Many voices make a powerful school, and I don't feel there's anything that we can't work through as a school. If we use that little grace and courtesy and we listen to each other, and I'm just happy. I'm just happy with how things have run in a pandemic, with a governing board, with the staff, with students and families. So I can't thank you enough. All right, friends.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to the three candidates. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
All right, remember to vote. We need the vote.